Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio. Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 237. We are wrapping up 2021. My name is Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
Hey, so what have you been up to?
Well, I am feeling kind of slow at the moment. So I can't even think of a clever, funny way to come into this. But I caught the Rona.
Oh no!
Yeah, we caught COVID. Me and the Mrs. to be over here. We were in New York.
I have told you. If I told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. Stop licking those lampposts.
I know.
I said to you.
That's like your thing about this whole time about you can't wait to go back to licking lampposts. But now is not the time.
You're like, but it's those New York flavored lampposts, Zachy. You said to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because we had two trips out there, and the first one was over Thanksgiving, and it was great. I mean, we went. I said on here, went and saw our first Broadway show, and had time with her family, and it was very nice. And then we went back out, and this time it was different. It was really palpable, actually, out there, where more and more people were saying either I have it. We were hearing more and more either I have it or I know someone who has it. And coworkers of Federica's were like starting to call in, like, "Oh, I was exposed this weekend." Da, 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 da. And I was like, "Oh, wow!" And then like news started breaking where it was like Broadway shows are being canceled because I think the one was like Moulin Rouge, right, where the audience was there in the theater, and someone came out and was like, "Show's over, sorry," and then like sent everyone home. And so it was funny, like you could feel the winds changing the week we were out there, and then all of a sudden, the numbers were exploding in the like 20,000s of positive tests. And I would go for a little walk every morning, and then I saw little pop-up testing centers, right? And then by the end of the week, on our last day there, it was lines around the block for these pop-up testing things. I mean, it was almost like a television show and how dramatically, ramped up it got.
I feel like historically, just for the sake of people listening years from now, like we are referring, as we record this, where it's in the wake of the Omicron variant.
Which is incredibly the most contagious it's been. Yeah.
And it is not a Robert Ludlum novel.
Yeah.
Does it sound like something like
totally that? Does, yeah.
but yeah, so you are double vaxxed, you are boosted.
Double vaxxed, boosted, and we were pretty we were wearing our masks, I would say the majority of the time out there. Like, and even outside, it was, I live in an area which I'm pretty thankful for, where, people are pretty good with the masks, and so right. I've never been made to feel uncomfortable, like being the only one wearing a mask and whatnot. But I think the sort of current rule of thumb was outdoors, you're pretty good. Right. And so, but even in New York, I was noticing that or I should say, even outdoors, people were pretty masked up. So I was like, well, hey, I have no problem with this. And so, we were living pretty cautiously. And the one thing, we have no idea where we got it, by the way, but we went and visited the Rockefeller tree, and it was just people on top of one another. And we had our masks on, save for maybe like a couple pictures we took. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, if this thing is really as contagious as they're saying, and is I don't know. So we came back, and actually it happened when we were recording one of our commentaries, I think. I stepped out of my little studio, the closet, and basically Federica was like, so, and I was like, oh no. And then I got it shortly after. And so, yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, I think it's worth, I guess, explaining what it's been like. It's, the Omicron, I think they've said is, more contagious, but it's also the symptoms, thankfully, are a little bit milder, especially for people who are vaccinated and boosted. And so I think that was kind of what we experienced, where it felt like a really bad cold. I would say Federica got it worse than I did, actually. She had all the cold stuff, but she also had a persistent headache. And so she was, bedridden for a couple days, and then I got it a couple days later. And, it's funny because I had a bad cold and I was like, well, whatever. It was just, and the worst of it too was this is, the week of Christmas, or it was as of yesterday, and my parents were out here, so I didn't really get to see them. We've been, isolated, locked up in the place. But so I was like, oh, it's cold. This really sucks. And I started getting a cough. But then there was 2 days where I always talk about this when I need a nap and my body like forces me into a nap. I feel like a Roomba, where it's like the base, it's like I'm not even choosing this. The base is drawing me home. And for me, this is like the couch, where like one day I was like, it's whatever. But and I just started like walking toward the couch, and then I like slept for 5 hours.
It's your body goes into safe mode.
Yeah, exactly. And so now we were saying we both feel like we sort of plateau. It's funny. I'm going to be writing the mute button this episode, but I feel like we've plateaued in this area where now I have a pretty regular cough, and weirdly, this wasn't the first half of it, but in the second half, I'm feeling that little bit of shortness of breath. Okay. And it's like when I cough, I feel sort of a rasp in my chest and kind of a thing. So it's, I don't know, and I just, again, for posterity's sake, it was interesting with the tests, right? Because coming back from our trip, we had tests set up at CVS so we could see my parents. And so we kept both of those, but we also did a home test. And it was interesting because Federica tested positive twice, right? So we're like, okay, well, we're pretty sure. But then strangely, 3 days in a row, I tested negative. And so we're like, well, that's wild. So then it became a hunt for places where they had these tests. And then finally, a couple days later, I got my positive test. And So, relating to this episode, letting the cat out of the bag, we are, I should say, Federica and I, the two people who have not seen Spider-Man. It could have come. Actually, we found out the first positive test came the day we were going to go see it that night. So it was a bummer / a good thing for everybody else that we didn't go see it that night.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, man proposes, God disposes. Our plan had been, you and I, informally, we recorded our Matrix Revolutions track, and it was like, let's get on in another couple of days. You'll have seen Spider-Man by then. We can do one of those quickly before Christmas, and then after the break, after Christmas, we can get on and talk about Matrix.
Yep.
And you're like 2 days later, hey, so funny story, hey, the way I look at it is we will definitely be coming back soon and talking about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
It'll just wait, hopefully people do want to hear us talk about it, and we'll get there.
We'll get there. I can't wait. And I also just, it's a little more, real talk, but two people in my orbit have actually passed away from this in the past week. And it's, this thing's all over the place. It affects everyone differently. And I definitely think it's still to be something to just live responsibly and do your best. And
if I can add to what you're saying, I mean, the fact that you got a positive coronavirus prognosis now, as opposed to a year ago.
I had that very thought. Yep. I mean, this thing keeps mutating, and it gets worse, it gets less, it gets this, it gets that. And it's still, again, I mean, speaking to the two people I mentioned who passed away, it affects people very, very differently, but I am very thankful, after trying to live in a certain way, and, maybe I tested it a couple times the past year by, going to this thing that was a little more crowded and I felt comfortable with, and you have a little regret afterwards and, whatever. But, trying to do my best. And then I'm a year later or two, what, I don't even know time anymore. I guess it's about almost 2 years later now. Yeah, I'm very thankful that, if it was going to happen at all, it happened in this moment where it wasn't as bad as it could be personally for the two of us over here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So settle down, folks. He'll watch Spider-Man.
Yeah,
he'll get there.
I gotta say, the as I'm sure people saw with the little logo, we're going to be doing Matrix today, and we were actually, when we were queuing up Matrix 4 over here, we were just like, thanks Warner Brothers for putting this online.
I mean, yeah, like we'd have nothing to talk about.
I know, and I am very thankful, truthfully, honestly, that they dropped Matrix, because that was a nice little treat this week.
And we will be talking about that later in this episode, because there are many spoilers to get into.
I am so excited for this conversation.
As am I, and I will have to wait just a few minutes longer before I get to talk about it with you. Now, I know you've seen a whole bunch of recent stuff, but I wanted to mention real quick that it has been a Christmas tradition over the last several years. I've been watching Home Alone since forever, but I've introduced Die Hard into the mix with my older kids.
Okay, yeah.
As a Christmas tradition, and we decided to carry the ball forward and watch Die Hard 2, Die Harder per the poster.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen this one as much, but my memory has always been that I like it as much as I like the first one. I like the second one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was gratified, Brian, to see that opinion still holds.
Yeah, that one gets kind of dogged on, doesn't it?
It does, right?
Yeah, and that was, growing up, as I say sometimes, without cable and whatnot, it became really about what was the movie of the week on CBS or ABC or NBC, and those were the ones we would record and that I would grow up sort of watching. And so Die Hard 2, funny enough, was the one I remember recording off of CBS.
Yeah,
I was pretty well acquainted with that one. And I've always enjoyed it. I mean, one is one. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? But 2's a solid action movie.
The critique I hear a lot of is it's very much going through the same paces as the first one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So there's this situation, there's the wacky character who McClane meets who helps him, and there's there's
janitor.
all these factors, and of course we get what's his name?
Right. The reporter.
The reporter, but why am I drawing a blank on his name? William Atherton, back in it, and that feels a little like shoehorned in.
Sure.
We get the Reginald Vell Johnson stuff, but I'm kind of like, that's the one. This is the one movie where you get to do that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where you say, "Wow, what a coincidence!"
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then after that, they clearly went off in a different direction. Some would argue a worse direction. I would not, but they started doing something a little different with each one after. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The one thing that stuck out to me more, even though I've seen this movie a fair amount, is the terrorist bad guy played by William Sadler. In order to prove what a bad guy is, he convinces a plane,
yes,
that that ground that sea level is higher than it actually is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this plane crashes, and the whole thing just goes up in a big fireball, and I felt that this time,
right?
Maybe just because I'm getting old, I don't know, but I was definitely like, oh man, that sucks. Like,
yeah. Right. And people just flying home for the holidays.
Yeah. I mean, you feel it. And I was thinking about this because I was like, that does feel on some level gratuitous.
Mm.
On the other hand, as a storytelling mechanism, it tells you he's a bad guy.
Right.
And by virtue of the fact that we have John McClane trying to save them, right? We see him fail.
Right.
So I was having this this dialectic inside myself. I was like, am I okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, but I felt it was worth mentioning. This is the first time where it really stuck out to me to the extent that I'm like, oh, that's not nice.
It's intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yeah, no, and it's funny because I actually think it's kind of a perfect sequel. Like you say, you still get the whole it's set at Christmas time, and so you can do the whole not this again kind
Right.
of thing. But I love that they take the conceit of a man trapped in a single location, but they make it a bigger location.
Right.
So I mean, you are still true to the spirit of what made the original its thing, right? But then he gets a few more, you get the baggage, behind the scenes of the baggage conveyor belts the action sequence, and you get the traveling under the runways, and the clever way he lights the runway, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's maybe if I can understand if people don't like the meat on the bones, but you got to kind of appreciate it on paper. Like, well, that's a pretty solid take at a sequel for Die Hard.
And the other thing is that, like, from this one on, it becomes, God, this guy is just like, he has the worst luck ever.
Right.
Uh, and the other thing is this was like Bruce Willis seemed to have like a love of life, which seems to have been drained out of him
Bruce Willis, the
completely.
actor, yes, yeah.
As a performer, yeah. So there's also that. I'm like, I don't remember Bruce Willis being this guy,
Mm-hmm.
because he just does just nothing but straight to streaming shit.
Yeah,
which is a shame.
Yeah, and even in that, he can barely muster. He's just sort of like, just sit me in a chair, and I'll just sort of work, and
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I will be continuing my Die Hard journey. Let's see how far I get through the rest of that series.
Yeah. No, and I love 3 too. I think I've always liked 3, and that was another one too. I think people gave kind of a hard time for a while, but again, if you're going to tell another story with this character, I feel like it's a big enough. Again, I mean, you keep expanding his playground, so to speak, right? So then it becomes the city of New York, but but it's slightly different, and he's still the same guy, but he's got to do different sorts of things. And
I think the third one, by virtue of being directly tied in with what happened in the first movie,
yes,
gives you license to pull John McClane into this story.
Sure.
So it's not wrong place, wrong time,
Right. And Jeremy Irons, obviously, he's like a solid presence, which is fun. And
yeah. The latter ones, I remember liking Live Free or Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it since it came out, so I don't really remember it. But the fifth one was one of our early episodes, if you remember.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
I remember doing it, but I've forgotten the timeline of it.
Yeah, that was like early 13, right? So we'd been doing this show for like 5 months at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember us having a quite spirited conversation about it, where
yeah,
because it was definitely, I think you described it as like it was one recast away from being like a Kevin James comedy.
Really?
About like an American who just ends up in Russia and is just like causing trouble. So that one I have not seen since it came out also, so I'm curious where I'll land with that.
Yeah, I remember the feeling of it was, I mean, this may as well have been any of his sort of straight to streaming action films. It didn't feel...
I mean, I think that Bruce Willis has garnered a reputation of just being a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And whether rightly or wrongly, and I just feel like a lot of the better action directors just don't really want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is a shame, because I think that there is still juice in that character.
Totally.
Like even now, if you tell me we're doing like Old Man McClane, like something,
he's retired.
Not that stupid whatever thing they were planning, like the prequel or whatever.
Right.
Do like John McClane as an old man. Like, I'm interested in the potential of that premise.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I mean, it's like any great book series, right? I mean, movies get crap for this sometimes, but I mean, you come up with a great character and you just enjoy seeing them in adventure after adventure.
That's right. Exactly
so like if the adventures are good enough, like, why wouldn't I want to see this character again? Obviously, I'm drawn to them for a reason.
As I recall, that was basically where I landed with number 5. Where it was like, the movie's not great, but it's a couple hours with John McClane, and I like John McClane.
Right.
Huh. Anyway, sorry. That was our unplanned Die Hard digression.
No, well, I enjoyed that. Have we done those commentaries for that?
Well, we did the first one.
Yeah, so we haven't done the sequels or anything.
We will get there.
Yeah, okay. Those could be fun.
As our listeners know, when we digress hard.
And this time we'll digress harder.
That's right.
By the way, speaking of two, you know what I remember? The big ad campaign for that, they just kept showing over and over that ejector seat moment.
Yes.
Because it was such... I mean, it's still actually pretty cool. I mean, the effects show their seams a bit more, but it's like, who cares? Like, it just looks so rad, that overhead shot of him. Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I think we missed the 30th anniversary because that was 90.
Oh, okay.
But whatever. One of these days, we'll just be like, hey, let's watch Die Hard 2.
Yeah, I'd love to go back to it.
But what about you? What have you seen?
Well, going back almost to the beginning of the month, I saw West Side Story. Which, have you had a chance
the latest Spielberg joint?
Latest Spielberg joint. Have you seen it?
I have not. I had planned to, but I was not able to go, unfortunately.
Okay,
but on the other hand, Brian, I'm not exactly in rare company not having seen it.
I know. It's not that I expected it to be some sort of runaway blockbuster, but it was just sad seeing that movies that aren't basically big blockbusters, like those are the only ones that are getting solid box office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then musicals too haven't really been performing this year, so it just was sort of in line with all those, like In the Heights and whatnot. But man, I loved this movie. It is really good, and I would put it up there with one of Spielberg's best.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, that's a big.
So the fire is back, you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. And that's just it, right? I mean, we talk about Ready Player One, and we're like, he's doing his tricks and the ways that he shows off best, but it felt like his soul wasn't in it a little bit.
Yeah.
But this, you can tell he put everything into this. And I think there's a lot in the stew, right? I mean, first of all, this is something that already exists. This is a remake, and this is, some of the most well-known songs of, the last century, right? But I think what's really cool is he takes, like, I've seen the original, but I've never had like huge feelings for it, aside from the songs being pretty great. But I thought what he did was he added a lot of depth, a bit more depth to it, whereas the original felt sort of like a stage show to me.
Right.
I was like, they're in love because they're singing and the sky suddenly turned red, and now they're mad because the the background's blue. It was fun and it was visceral, but like I thought Spielberg added a lot more layers to it, and I felt a bit more with this story than I think I've ever felt before. I teared up. Some moments with joy, some moments with disgust. It's just he really digs in and wrings the emotion out of it, which I thought were great. And then he adds a couple things. There's a couple moments. There was just one moment I was going to bring up because I don't really feel like it's a spoiler, but it was very Spielbergy where the Jets go buy a gun, right? Because there's going to be a rumble, and they're like, well, we want to bring a gun to this fight. And the scene of the kids buying the gun reminded me of some of the scarier things Spielberg has done, like in like a Minority Report, where it's like I don't trust this guy, and like the guy selling them the gun is really, really unnerving and uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh, like just, I don't know, the lights, the acting, the whatever, it was just so Spielberg, and it really made you feel uneasy. Right. And then he does this immediately changes sort of the tone. Then when the kids bust out, and there's this sort of, we're outside again, and we feel this sort of lightness. But then you see the kids are running around pointing the gun at each other, going, pow, 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 pow. And it's just so grotesque, and sad. And just like, but it's like they're these kids, and it's just, that was just something I've never felt with this story before. And I thought that kind of texturing was just so, like I said, like palpable. And it really made the drama come to life in a greater way than I'd ever felt with it. And then, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't say the camera work. Good Lord. If you, if you love Spielberg's camera work, this is just like a feast for you. I think it's among one of the greatest things he's ever shot. I think it's absolutely, and it is sort of heightened, right? So Janus's softness doesn't kind of intrude in a way that I feel like it does in some other things. And I mean, Spielberg is just like, you just know every day he showed up giddy. Like there's a scene where these women are singing at out of these two windows, and there's like a laundry line that's like moving, sort of staccato. So it covers the person who isn't singing, and then it moves to reveal the other person who's singing. Like, it's just, I just can't wait to watch it again, just to watch it again. So yeah, I mean, this movie's a feast. I highly recommend it. I mean, if you're a fan of Spielberg, I just don't know how you couldn't enjoy this movie. Yeah. So.
Well, I will definitely check it out eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
That said, I will say I would have been more surprised if it had been a smash hit.
Oh, 100%. I mean, in like 2019 or whatever it is, this would have been, like probably like an 80 million or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it'd get to 100 or anything. Right?
Right.
Or somewhere around there, maybe like a 75 or something. Yeah. You'd have to be happy with that. But like, yeah. I mean, the box office is so weird right now.
The obviously, the pandemic notwithstanding, musicals are a coin toss. Some do very well, some not so well. Those already In the Heights, or which we mentioned, that didn't do great.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was being sold almost exclusively on Spielberg.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
All caps Spielberg. And I would say, does that name have currency for anyone under 30?
That's a really good point. And also, I mean, it's like a remake of a beloved property, by people of a certain set. So if those people feel like, well, I got mine, like,
right.
Why do they need to see it again? But, and it's where, just as a little personal side note, I saw this at the DGA. A good friend of ours who's in the DGA took us to go see a screening where Spielberg was there, and he was interviewed by Damien Chazelle.
Oh, nice!
And that was pretty special to see. So, yeah.
So that's West Side Story.
Yeah, and then in keeping with the musicals, I also watched Tick, Tick, Boom on Netflix, which is, it's the Lin-Manuel Miranda. He directed it, and it's about Jonathan Larson, who went on to create Rent, right? And this is sort of the story of him. I think he's about to turn 30, and he's this struggling artist. And he's like, am I ever going to make anything of my life? And I've just got so much to say. And this is, I think he wrote a musical called Tick, Tick, Boom. It was like a solo rock musical kind of deal. And this is like that story. And then after he passed, people have expanded upon it, is my understanding.
Okay.
And created into like a 3 or 4 person thing. And then this movie expands even further and, turns it into a full-fledged movie where we act out a lot of the scenes I'm sure he just sort of talks about in the play. But I gotta say, this was kind of a surprise for me. I really enjoyed this a lot. I think Andrew Garfield is one of those people I have not appreciated enough.
Yeah, he's pretty upset about that.
Yeah. Now he's just solid. Anytime he shows up, that guy is solid, and he's doing all sorts of things. I mean, he's Spider-Man, of course, at one point, and I mean, most people probably know him from Social Network, but he was really great in that Scorsese movie Silence, and Hacksaw Ridge, which was kind of he's just very different sorts of performances, and even types of movies in terms of their exposure to audiences and whatnot. But he just always shows up and knocks it out. And I'd say he did that here again. And he's singing, and I would say there's probably part of me that connected with this in a way as someone, who creates, as a writer, there's something you can't help but connect with, that yearning and that urgency. And there's also a part of the movie that makes you stress out because it reminds you of all the stresses that come along with this sort of profession. But ultimately, I mean, I thought all the songs were great. I thought he was great. It was very rousing. It was really fun. I would definitely recommend this, and it's on Netflix. So, but if you don't like musicals, you're probably not gonna like it. But I thought all the songs were great, and I thought it was, like I say, rousing is the only word I can think of. Like I felt energized when it was over. So
I have not seen the movie yet. However, I did get a box of swag from Netflix.
They're kind of known for that, right?
They really are. They tend to give they send out stuff that, for example, when I'm in the middle of a move, I have to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do with this crap? However, I will say
heavy books, right?
Books / murder weapons. They send you, and you have to figure out what to do. But as we record this, I am wearing a Tick Tick Boom sweatshirt.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding, and it is a goddamn comfortable sweatshirt. So thank you, Netflix, for that.
Well, so there's Zacky's recommendation.
There you go. Haven't seen the movie. I would definitely recommend the free sweatshirt, emblazoned with the logo.
That is hilarious. Okay, so I got a couple more, but I'm going to do one more that I doubt you have seen.
Well, and just one thing.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel a great deal of pity for Andrew Garfield right now because, he's out promoting not only this film, but also the Tammy Faye movie, Eyes of Tammy Faye. And he cannot escape people hounding him, or he could not, about this whether he's in this Spider-Man movie, right?
Right.
And like every time somebody brings it up, you just see him die more inside. Yeah,
and I'm sure it's difficult to not say things you've been sworn not to say, but also, I mean, he was very, very outwardly passionate about playing Spider-Man, right? I mean, he made no secret of how much this meant to him deep in his being. And then his series kind of petered out,
No pun intended.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And it's no fault of his own, and it's just got to be a little heartbreaking. I wonder if it's sensitive for him.
That's the point, is like, guys, this was not a pleasant time for him. He said that.
Right.
He said it broke his heart.
Right.
And so it's like being like, hey, remember that woman you dated 10 years ago who dumped you? Tell me what that was like. Right. Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I got these 2 Oscar bait movies. Can I please talk about the perform? I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this performance.
Right.
And you're asking me about this thing from several years ago,
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
Well, no, okay, one more, and then 2 more that I think you have seen, so we can talk about those. But I'll just really briefly, I'm just going to bring up this documentary on HBO called Beanie Mania.
Oh man, I need to see this.
So yeah, it's a documentary about the Beanie Baby craze from the late 90s, early 2000s. And I mostly bring it up because I'm kind of curious how you experienced this, because I definitely did. I mean, not that we were collectors or anything, but this is one of those things that I remember really well.
Oh, it was like we woke up one day and suddenly everyone was insane for about 18 months.
But I also remember accepting it as a fact. Like, oh yeah, like some people will probably be able to go to college because they own the right Beanie Babies. Like that was, this movie gets in. This is what's crazy. I'll just say, and it's really, really brief. It's like an hour, 20 minutes or something. But if the documentary is to be believed, the subjects we see, this all kind of started in Naperville, Illinois, which is
really,
which I was like, what?
As things usually do.
I know, not very far from where you grew up.
Brian. Yeah, I was about to say the MovieFilm podcast started relatively close to Naperville, Illinois.
Yeah,
the roots of the MovieFilm podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, and so it gets into the company that made them, the people who just, without any prompting, were initially sort of obsessed with these things. and then how that caught on, how that caught fire, right? And then how these people were able to sort of capitalize on that also, and they became these figures, even though they weren't tied with the company, but they created the catalogs, that listed the worth of these certain Beanie Babies, and kind of as the internet was catching fire, how that played into everyone's story here. These people, and also the company itself, and how they used it, and also sort of the first be sure to drink your Ovaltine moment, for some of these people on the internet, through Ty, the company that made these things, sort of manipulating people through the internet. And like it's an interesting story, and like I say, it's kind of breezy. And if people, I don't know if you weren't there, if people would be like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
But I think if you do remember it is kind of a funny refresher on just that weird little moment.
What I remember is working at Montgomery Ward, Christmas of '96, and panicked parents and grandparents running in, being like, "Do you have Beanie Babies?"
Really? Did you?
Dude, we barely had like housewares and all that other shit. That was a useless store.
Yeah.
I worked in Electric Avenue. There were times we didn't have phones and batteries. That's what a piece of shit Montgomery Ward was.
Wow. I actually rewatched Gremlins recently, and at the end, it's in Montgomery Ward's, and there's that whole thing of televisions, and then the gremlin appears on it.
Yeah.
And then you see the reason is because there's this video camera set up that says, "See yourself on TV." And I was like, wow, I remember when that was cool. Like seeing yourself on television, and now it's like we have, these cameras in our like we're on TV all the time, all of us.
Yeah. I mean that store. That was my first like retail job,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there were days. In fact, I would work Tuesday nights, from like 5 to 9 or whatever it was, and I'm in electronics, and there were nights where not a single customer came in.
Wow.
And I know this because I watched entire episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Dawson's Creek. Because I was in electronics, I would just tune the TV to the WB.
Right.
And and then I'd ring up I'd close out the cash register, and it was like 50 cents or whatever it was.
And you were like, Pacey, no.
Yeah. that was me. I was mildly obsessed with that show for a little while.
Me too, actually. First couple seasons.
I blame Montgomery Ward, however.
That's so funny. Wait, so you were there? Actually, now this is feeling familiar, but you were there for the kind of beginning of DVDs.
I was in fact, because DVDs in time for Christmas of '97.
Wow.
Made their debut. So we had a whole like training session for how to sell DVDs and DVD players, and this was when remember the earliest DVDs, they came in those paper cases with the black flip latch, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like kind of snapped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if you had to flip the discs over.
Right. Right, because they had side A and side B.
That's exactly it. So if it was a longer film, you had to turn it over. And so we had a whole training session and stuff. And I remember the first batch of movies we got, it was mostly Warner Brothers. Batman and Robin was among them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Twister, right?
Twister was also among them. That's right. Yeah. But a lot of Warner Brothers stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, okay. 2 more that I know you've seen. So let's talk about this. All right. There's one I want to talk about a little bit more. So first, let's talk about Hawkeye. Did you finish Hawkeye?
I did finish Hawkeye.
What'd you think?
I gotta be honest. I out of all the MCU shows this year, it's among the ones I liked the most, probably.
I was gonna say this might be my favorite one.
Yeah.
I think WandaVision was kind of like their indie film.
That I had that exact thought. Yeah.
Did you really? Yeah. Yep. And I appreciated it for that, but it also didn't let me in a certain way.
I think WandaVision started stronger than it ended.
Agreed. Even though I dug it. I did.
But I think that might be a critique for all of these shows before this.
Yes.
Yes. I guess Loki is a little different because it doesn't even really end. It's setting up the next season.
Which is so funny because, again, Loki may have been one of my favorites.
Yes.
But then, yes, it sort of decided it wanted to not be satisfying of a conclusion for itself,
Right.
and just go, wow, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. Like that's, I keep using that, but it's true. It's an ad, instead of an actual conclusion. And this one I thought was just a cute, fun, charming little story that had a really satisfying ending. And I just loved it. I thought it was really fun.
I think what I liked about it is that it justified the vehicle for telling the story, which is through Disney Plus, because I don't think it's a movie.
Right.
But I think it was perfectly scaled for these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think that maybe it's just me, but I like Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye.
Right.
And so for me, it's like, oh, this is a chance to just really delve into him as this character and see more of what I've always liked about him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're setting up, the Kate Bishop as the next Hawkeye and whatever and all this other stuff. But for me, it was like, well, this is a perfect Hawkeye scaled story. This is not about killer robots and space monsters. It's just this.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So, well, that was easy.
And, well, that said, I also appreciated that, I don't know how much you watched the Netflix Daredevil show, but this show, by incorporating Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin, essentially, he was the villain in the Daredevil show.
Mm-hmm.
It makes that show officially part of this whole MCU shebang.
Yeah, which is cool. So that means that at some point he could pop up, right?
I hope so. I think honestly, what Vincent D'Onofrio did in the Daredevil show, he was fantastic. Like probably one of the best Marvel villains we've ever gotten.
Wow.
So for me, we just got like a hint of that in this.
Right.
But there's obviously room to grow and to carry the character forward. So I hope they do.
Yeah. Nice. Well, okay. So here's another one we saw. Being the RICARDOS.
Yes.
Which is on Amazon Prime, I believe, maybe limited theatrically. And it's the Aaron Sorkin written and directed movie about making I Love Lucy, about Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. I'd been looking forward to this. I mean, I like Aaron Sorkin. I love Lucy. I mean, I grew up with it. And I was I know some of the, Wikipedia points about their lives, which was basically that their marriage was not, like it was on television. And I was kind of curious to see this, behind the scenes sort of look at a week of making the show.
Yeah.
And I got to say, not really taken with the film, though.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I feel like I saw what you said, and it's in my head. Where it felt like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah, from the 90s.
From like the 80s or 90s, where it felt in terms of its direction, in terms of its acting, in terms of even of, frankly, of its script. I mean, I guess without really giving anything away, again, I think this is what you said, but the conclusion is just so weirdly pat.
Yeah.
And just complete,
obviously made up. It's just made up.
And it's just weird. I just there was not one moment I think this movie had me, and this is coming from someone that went in willingly. I wanted to like this, and I was really interested in the subject matter, but it just flat on every single angle. I mean, like the filmmaking, I thought I don't know. Except J.K. Simmons was pretty great.
Yeah, pretty much universally, everyone is like, but J.K. Simmons.
Right. And Nina Arianda, I thought, was fine as Vivian Vance. I mean, I was a little interested in their... that was the thing I kind of knew, too, as a point of trivia, that basically those two who played William and Ethel... not William. It's William Frawley. Fred and Ethel. that they didn't really get along, and you get
That's right.
glimpses of that. But I don't know. I don't know what you would do. I mean, Nicole Kidman's playing Lucille Ball is so deadly serious
Yes.
and droll and whatnot that she's just never
She felt
compelling.
miscast. She felt very miscast to me.
Yeah, I mean, but there was just no what am I trying to say? Like, there was no ups and downs to her. Like, she was this straight line the whole way through that made her not really interesting to watch. Right? And even Desi Arnaz, I mean, it was weird casting with Javier Bardem, right? Where
Yeah.
I feel like Desi Arnaz was kind of pretty.
Right.
You know, which is kind of a weird word to use, but not exactly correct.
I mean,
like,
Javier Bardem is kind of like a rugged.
Yeah, he's like brutish.
Right.
And he's big and imposing, and that's a very, very different figure. He cuts a very different figure than what Desi Arnaz was, which I think affects whatever that story really was, you know? But I don't know. I just really disappointed. This is a real disappointment, this one.
There were so many storytelling choices that made no sense to me, completely separate from here is a week in the life of this show, and we're going to make up all the things that happened in that week. not make up, but we're going to be like, oh, well, that thing that happened 2 years later, we'll put it here. That thing that happened a year and a half ago, we'll put it like, well, then it's not an accurate reflection, right?
Right.
And then the conceit of talking heads.
Yes.
We keep cutting to every 5 minutes. We'll cut to a talking head who's like, "How big was I Love Lucy? Big. How big was Lucille Ball? The biggest.
Right.
How big was it is like that."
Well, and I suppose it's supposed to be in the present, even though I don't know if those people are still alive.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like in the 70s or something.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, because I mean those people.
I was gonna say because I mean maybe that's the fault of the filming because it looked so HD and pretty and whatnot.
It's weird to me because as you said, I'm a huge Aaron Sorkin fan. I've said this on the show. Like one of my joys is just listening to actors say Aaron Sorkin's dialogue, and this felt very un-Sorkin-y, except in certain areas.
Yeah,
or maybe too Sorkin-y if you're not a fan. But it was very. There's one line where Lucy, played by Nicole Kidman, she says I forget who she says to, but she's like, "Stop gaslighting me."
Yes.
And that like pricked me because I was like, that's like a now term.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that jumped out at me too. I read a couple of reviews and that was brought up.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah. It just felt false.
Yeah, just kind of a swing and a miss.
Yeah, which is too bad. Again, I like Sorkin too. It's just there was actually a moment where she was talking to the Philip Morris people and Desi Arnaz, and she's doing that sort of Mark Zuckerberg 3 conversation threads at once thing, and she says something to them. They're like, "You're all over the place." She's like, "Well, keep up. It's not hard." And I was just like, I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, but was Lucy like that? Or is this just how you like all your characters to be?
I mean, they try to drill down on the idea that she was this tormented genius. And she's like, this scene has to be staged exactly so and whatever. But to the point that you're making, we don't... You know what, Brian? This is actually the same problem that Sorkin had with Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. Where it's people telling us how much of a genius the main character is.
Right.
But maybe you should just stay away from shows about the making of TV. I don't know.
Right.
Like maybe that's the problem.
Right.
Now, because about a year ago, you and I talked about the trial of the Chicago 7.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Chicago 7, right?
Yeah.
And I think my recollection is we both had a positive reaction to it.
Yeah. I didn't think it was one of his strongest outings, but I liked it. Yeah,
I mean, to me, it hit the basis of what I want from a Sorkin project.
Sure.
And I feel like the contrast I would draw between this film and that is the same as the contrast between Studio 60 and The West Wing is he's treating them both like this very serious thing, but one justifies that approach, right?
Right.
Like I Love Lucy is a very important show in the history of television and everything else, no question. But I think there was a way to sort of be a little bit more light-footed about it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a scene, which I did appreciate this whole conceit, which I'm sure it happened, which was, there's some joke pitched and Lucille Ball doesn't think it's good enough. And people want to move on, but she's like, no, like this is, we're going to stay here until we get this thing right. And there's a scene where she basically calls, the actors who play Fred and Ethel to the stage at like 2 a.m.
Right.
to work on the scene. And I was like, if this really happened, wow. But like, I don't know that I believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to believe it.
Yeah.
But this just feels more like a dramatic license way to express how obsessed she was.
Yes.
And so I am, maybe I'm wrong, but and
this is this just to pick up on that, this is a conceit of movies that are based on true stories where you do play fast and loose, right?
Yes.
With what happened when, and I get that, I accept that, I'm not naive, but I also feel like I feel like my tolerance for that has diminished a little bit when it's so blatantly manufactured.
Right.
And that was my feeling at the end of the film, where without giving any away, the climax involves a phone call from a very important person, capital V, capital I, and you're meant to be like, oh, right? And as I was watching that, I was like, I don't know, I don't think that happened.
Yeah.
Right away, I was like, I don't know, something about that doesn't sound right to me, and it turned out not to have been the case, right?
Oh, really?
It did not happen.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, that's
right.
That is so. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I'm like, this is 2 movies in a row he's done this, because the end of Trial of Chicago 7 was similarly manufactured.
Right.
And I rolled with it there. With this, I'm like, come on, Aaron. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's your job to make this work. It's your job to work with what the pieces that you have available in front of you. You know. So yeah, like I said, kind of swing and a miss for me.
Yeah, same.
Well, there we go.
There it is.
That's our quick catch up. One last thing. I had opportunity to watch Sing 2.
Oh, okay.
And this is in theaters right now, and it's doing quite well. It opened over Christmas weekend, and I don't know. Have you seen the first Sing?
I haven't, but I have seen the trailer for Sing 2 probably 20 times. That's like the one that's in front of every movie I've seen for the past 2-3 months.
Well, like Die Hard 2, which is very much a taking that same formula and just sort of repurposing it. Sing 2 is also about terrorists that take over. So look, this is an excuse for CGI animals voiced by celebrities to sing covers of like famous songs.
Right.
You know what you're getting, and I recommend it thusly.
Okay. So it's not vile in its jukebox musical.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah. It's like, actually like but it's as a story, you think it's enjoyable.
I think so. The main character is voiced by Matthew McConaughey. He plays this little koala bear. And I'm like, man, Matthew McConaughey is like invested in this character. Like, he's so into it. And I kind of love that. And then, the part of the plot revolves around, we got to get this former rock musician Lion to come out of retirement. He's been living in isolation. We want to get him to come out of retirement to sing, the big climax song at the end of the thing. And he's voiced by Bono.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm like, gee, I wonder if the movie where the lion is voiced by Bono will end with him singing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's hilarious. Wait, so the trailer shows the end of the movie? 'Cause
The
that's a good
trailer shows you the end of the movie.
Oh, wow.
So in other words, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing.
You know, so I can only recommend it on the scale of did you mind seeing one? No, yeah, it sounds fine.
Sure.
You know,
Perfect.
so let's take a short break, and then we have a couple of listener letters. And we are back, and hey, we got some letters from folks out there listening. Right?
Oh, great.
So this is a note we got from Jeremy Lloyd, and it's from a little while ago, but I do want to mention it. He says, after listening to one of your latest episodes, I heard Brian say he was watching a lot of TV.
Yeah, more than usual lately. Yeah,
more than usual. I would like to recommend Lock and Key on Netflix. It's based on a comic book series by Stephen King's son Joe Hill and IDW. New season just dropped as of his note, which is like a month old. But I know you guys are big Amblin fans, and this series has a lot of that kind of charm and tone. I won't say a lot, but I really think it's worth your time. And yes, it's family friendly, Zachy.
That sounds like something I would enjoy. I'll check that out. Yeah,
I mean, in terms of TV, what have you been watching?
Well, Hawkeye, and actually, I didn't mention it, but I've been watching MacGruber on Peacock.
Oh, yeah, that's on Peacock, right?
Yeah, and so Federica's been hearing me cackle from the other room.
I need to watch that.
Shoot, I don't know. I'm sort of like losing it. It's so TV is kind of like in one ear out the other because you watch it so quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The way you binge these things, but. Great British Bake Off, if I'm being honest.
You know what I've been watching lately? I have Pluto TV on my apps. Which, for those of you who don't know, it's basically live TV, which every channel is just uninterrupted, like a specific show.
Yeah.
So I've had my Pluto TV tuned to Three's Company.
Oh yeah,
and I just have like Three's Company going in the background.
That's so funny.
And I'm just remembering how I was not allowed to watch that when I was a kid.
Me too. And I didn't get it. Because I was like, what? It's like, I had no idea. I was like, I don't know. It's just this guy scrambling around.
Right, exactly.
And my parents too. I remember I watched it for a while. And then my parents were like, nah, let's not watch this. And I was like, why?
Right, same experience.
Dude, that's really funny.
It's almost better to just let your kids watch it.
Yeah. Then.
Because once I was told, oh, no, you're not supposed to watch that. I was like, oh,
intriguing,
really?
Yeah.
Go on.
Wait, by the way, did you watch, there's that Jimmy Kimmel, Norman Lear thing?
Yes.
Did you watch the Different Strokes?
I did.
Of Life one?
I did.
Yeah, I only saw the Different Strokes one, but I got to say it was pretty enjoyable.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. They had Kevin Hart and Damon Wayans as Arnold and Willis.
And it was pretty good. They were committed, It was really fun. Kevin Hart, I mean, he was throwing himself into it. It was really fun.
Yeah.
John it was fun because Drummond.
That was good.
It was good.
We watched it, and then I watched it with the kids, and then we put on the original episode.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, so we were able to compare it more directly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
But I should actually mention Jeremy Lloyd. Also, he is the host of the Dark Tower Radio podcast, which is a Stephen King centric podcast. So, want to put out a plug for Jeremy's show. It's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another letter we got. This is from Hamza Moine. He's my cousin, by the way.
Yeah.
Writing to us from Canada. He says, your commentary of Matrix Reloaded / Revolutions was a great primer before watching Matrix Resurrections. In fact, your joke in one of the commentaries about having the song Power of Love being played to make some emotional moments work better still applied in Matrix Resurrections. I literally started singing it out loud at a climactic moment during Resurrections, and everyone thought I was a genius, so thank you.
That's hilarious.
Now, I remember us having said that.
Yeah, me too.
If only because Power of Love ends up in most of our conversations. But I don't remember the specific moment when we did that.
I actually don't either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember it coming up. And I can imagine a couple moments in Resurrections where it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, thank you for that, Hamza. Hey, there is a new trailer, Brian, for the Batman that just dropped.
Yes.
Now this is like we've had like the DC fandom peaks,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like this is the first like full trailer that we've gotten. I think, right?
I mean, the last one was pretty full, right? Wouldn't you say? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The first, excuse me, the first
I
one.
thought that was the teaser. Wait, am I getting my what?
No, maybe you're right. The first one was like that sizzle reel, right?
Yes,
2020 or whatever. And then the last one, yeah, I don't know.
This is the third thing that we've gotten. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, you know what? No, you're right. I mean, this one feels a little bit more like here's a bit of the plot.
Here's what's happening, other than quick cuts of Batman beating people up.
Yeah.
Which I'm all about. But let's talk about this. I'm very interested. Let's play some of the audio, since there's actual dialogue to play.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it a little bit.
The Riddler is asking for you.
The killer left this for the Batman. Why is he writing to you?
You came. I've been trying to reach you.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes. If we don't stand up, no one will.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays. The bat and the cat. It's got a nice ring.
New friend of yours?
I'm not so sure. I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. You're part of this too.
Hands up! Stay still!
How am I part of this? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. Bruce Wayne.
Well, what do you think?
No, I'm just joking. No, I've been on a weird trajectory with this movie because I've always been like a pre-sold ticket.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That has never been. It has never been in question that I will watch this. I will probably watch this with at least my older kids.
Mm-hmm.
So but Dev, I had that like the first trailer really knocked my socks off. The second trailer, initially when I saw it, I was kind of like, and then I saw it in the theater, and it knocked my socks off again.
Right.
Because just the theatrical, there's just something, I don't know, some kind of magic. As Nicole Kidman says in the promo at AMC, there's just something about what, I don't know what she says.
You know what, by the way, on this other podcast I listened to, they had a whole discussion moment about this. And I've never seen it because I have a Regal theater now.
Oh, you don't go to AMC.
Right. And so I have heard so much about this, and I love that I've never seen it. It just keeps coming up.
It's very odd because it's Nicole Kidman walking into an empty theater and being like, I like going to the theater, or whatever she says. That's my Nicole Kidman impression.
Right.
As opposed to Keira Knightley, oh, I like theater, I do.
Right.
And she's sitting there, and I am watching this, and I'm like, is Nicole Kidman at that level where people are going to be like, hey, everybody, listen to Nicole Kidman, you know?
Yeah.
And not to denigrate her talent,
which
is immense, notwithstanding our discussion just now, 5 minutes ago. And I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I'm like, why is AMC counting on Nicole Kidman to get butts in seats? That seems like an odd choice to me.
I don't know. And I don't know what this thing is, this ad, but I love what it is in my mind.
I'm sure you could find it on YouTube, but you're choosing not to.
At this point, yeah, maybe it's more fun this way. But
anyway, to that point, seeing the Batman, the previous trailer in the theater, really, it like turned a dial for me. Mm-hmm. And so I was definitely on board. And then this new one, I'm like, man, come on. What are we, like 4 months away? Let's just release it now. Come on, I want to watch this.
It's funny. I've had the exact same experience as you. I mean, yeah, we talked about it on the show where I don't know what it was about that teaser. I was like, yeah, no, I get it. I mean, it's just a guy in a Batman suit beating people up, and I hope it's good. Like, I need more. But I had the same experience where a lot of people, I was seeing how excited they were about it. And so I went back and watched it again Somehow I ended up watching it like 3 times or something. It might have even had to do with cutting the portion of it for our episode.
Oh,
And each time it was more and more thrilling, and I just was
Yeah.
getting more and more like, yeah, kind of amped. And I agree. This trailer, I'm like, dude, I'm so in. Like, I love this. I like, him and Catwoman is really interesting. Riddler seems really interesting. There just seems to be a really cool scope to this. I'm in.
and I do love that it arrives exactly 30 years after the last time Batman, Catwoman, and Penguin were in a movie together.
Wow, 92, huh?
Look at that.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's so weird. All 3 of them. That's funny.
Yep. I wonder if we might have a commentary track to tie in with that.
Yeah, I'd love to. I don't need an excuse, but I'd love an excuse to revisit that one. It's been a while for me.
I think that, and this is not new insofar as things we've talked about, but the elastic nature of this character, where you can interpret him so many different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and yet it's still Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That's always intriguing to me, where there's certain pieces of window dressing that you got to have.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's my point. No one will confuse Michael Gough with Michael Caine, with Jeremy Irons, with Andy Serkis.
Right.
And yet all them guys are Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, I just think that's cool,
Yeah.
that you can do that.
Agreed.
So this one drops in March, and then, I think it's in the summer. You got the Flash movie with Keaton coming back.
And it's going to be interesting because, I mean, we've just now with Matrix 4, it concludes an entire year of Warner Brothers movies being beamed into our living rooms.
That's right.
And I think,
now you got to work for it.
Yeah. Well, even with Ricardo's, it was, you'd see an ad for a movie and you're like, well, where am I going to watch this? Right. And I think it seems now with 2022, save for Netflix and Prime and whatnot, it's like, well, we're going to have to go back to the theaters, And I did. I think we both did. But
yes,
the options were there, right? And as I said earlier, I mean, the option was nice for me this week. But this one's Warner Brothers going to be theatrical only again.
They're really coming out swinging next year in terms of their and just in terms of their DC slate.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got like a ton of pretty anticipated stuff. Because Aquaman is next year.
Oh,
Black Adam is next year. The Flash movie, the Batman. That's 4 movies right there.
Wow.
That I have to imagine all of them are going to do reasonably well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just announced that Michael Keaton will be reprising his role in the Batgirl movie.
Yeah, which I was like, wow, okay, that Batman is back.
But that's what's interesting to me, because that movie also has J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, right.
So we now have a Gordon who is younger than Bruce Wayne.
Wow, that's weird. Yeah.
So I have no idea how any of that works.
Yeah.
But you know what? I cannot be objective when you present me with Michael Keaton playing Batman.
No, I'll take all of it.
And I fully admit it. This is my bias / blind spot. I don't even care.
Nope. No, I'm in the bag. I'm in the bag for Keaton as Batman.
Actually, speaking of the Flash movie, I also read that Michael Shannon will be playing General Zod in that movie.
Oh, wow. This sounds like an awesome movie.
I was saying about a week ago, I was only kind of joking. You want like Ian Malcolm, like, so there will be the Flash in this the Flash movie, right? It does feel like that a little bit.
That is hilarious.
But that's coming. The Batman comes in March, so we'll be excited for that.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take another short break, and then hey, let's talk about the main event. Let's talk about Matrix Resurrections. And we are back. And hey, Brian, you know what else is back?
What's that?
The Matrix.
Yeah.
Although based on the box office, not for long.
This was one of those movies you've heard that Warner Brothers wanted a sequel for The Matrix, of course,
Yes.
for years and years and years. And it had been so long that it just felt like there's no way we're ever going to get this. And that's fine. And then when it was announced, it was like, really?
Yes.
Wow. And then when you were getting, people on the street filming the movie being shot, I was like, I can't believe this is actually happening. And even when I queued it up on HBO Max, I was like, I can't believe this exists. I can't believe we got a Matrix 4. So this was a really highly, highly anticipated one for me.
So, here on the show, as if you're a long-time listener, or not even a long-time listener, just short-time listener, because we dropped 2 Matrix commentaries in the last month. So we come at it as fans of the trilogy. Speaking for myself, I've said repeatedly on this show, I've said to you, Brian, I love the trilogy. I absolutely love it. And my feeling all along had been, I don't need a continuation. I'm happy with where they left it.
Yeah.
But if, what I thought at the time, if the Wachowskis, turns out to be a Wachowski, but regardless, if the original creative voices felt there was something more to say, I was interested.
Yep.
That was me going into Matrix Resurrections. And I think I may have had the best experience possible with this film in that I got to see it about 3 weeks before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did I see it extremely early, I saw it under an embargo for 2 weeks after watching it.
Mm-hmm.
No reviews, no social media.
Right.
So what I realized was that's what I've been missing from so many movies. Is just
right.
Is to just have the ability to sit with it and not, and generally, just to be clear, when I watch a movie early, I don't look at other people's reviews. I tend to avoid what people are saying on social media, but stuff gets through, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not if there's a firm embargo.
Right.
You just can't talk about it. So I got to just sit in silence with it.
Mm-hmm.
And my reaction to this film was instantaneous. As soon as it ended, I was like, I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And I know you landed at a different place, but I just want to talk about where I am.
Absolutely.
I knew instantly that I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to sort of just sit with it and figure out what it was I loved about it. And then, as the promo rounds start happening and Keanu Reeves gets asked by somebody during the junket about people who were disappointed by the previous Matrix sequels. And Keanu Reeves had this quote, which I absolutely love. He says, I know that experience as a filmmaker, but I just try to let films be,
Mm-hmm.
I try to think about what the creators were going for. It's their work of art, man. I try to come to their art and meet it wherever it is.
Yeah.
And I did that with this movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I loved it.
Totally.
Because what I saw was something very personal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's obviously all these meta aspects of it, which we'll get into. But ultimately, it's a very personal story that could only have been told by the person responsible for creating this world in the first place.
Right.
And that's my non-spoiler review of The Matrix Resurrections. That said, if you are somebody who loathed the previous sequels, I don't think this one is it's not going to change your mind, I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is aimed at people who are already on board, and I feel like it's going to polarize even them.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that the box office has been not great, I would say I'm disappointed, but I'm not hugely surprised by it.
Yeah. I had high hopes just in terms of its success.
Yes.
Just because, like you say, I love that the original filmmakers and including the actors are back. Like, this is something they all believed in, and like, I want that to succeed.
Yeah.
And it bummed me out that it did the numbers that it did. But I don't know. I'm also biased because I'm very, very endeared to this series, and I don't know in 2021 what this series means. So yeah.
So that's where I landed. Now, when we recorded our last commentary, I had seen it, you had not,
Right.
and your intent had been to watch this in the theater.
Oh, 100%. Again, I'm sad I missed it in the theater, but I'm thankful that Warner Brothers allowed me to be able to see it this week. I don't know what I'd be doing. I'd be like biting all my nails off this week.
So we haven't talked about it at all. I'm genuinely curious. What did you think of this movie? And I should say, by the way, I've seen it twice already at this point. I'm like halfway through my third viewing, so that's where I am with this movie.
Okay, let's put it this way. When I finished it the first time, I was not looking forward to talking about it.
Oh no!
But here's the thing. It's complicated. And that's why I feel my feelings about this movie were so complicated. I was actually gonna have to do work to figure out,
okay,
to talk about this movie.
Yeah.
And I've seen it twice now because we pushed talking about this a couple days due to my condition. It allowed me last night to watch it a second time, and immediately when it ended the first time, I was like, I'm watching this again.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to talk about those two experiences, but the first experience I would say was mixed with admiration.
Interesting. Okay.
And so, and what I mean by that, and we'll definitely, save a lot of this for spoilers, but I have to talk about, the state that I watched this in too was, I saw this probably at peak COVID for me.
Okay.
And I realized I was feeling a bit more than I was actually listening.
Oh, that's interesting.
Sort of like you would with like Tenet or whatever. And I would say that is definitely not the way to watch this movie. And wow. Because when it ended, I had so many questions. And so, but let me say broad strokes, the story, I think it's no surprise at this point without spoilers, but there's a whole meta aspect to this movie. Loved it. This is a love story. Loved it. But there were just something about it that I wasn't latching onto, and I was trying to put my finger on it. And I think it's like the stakes and the urgency weren't very clear to me. And so in the middle, I found myself, again, as I was sort of feeling my way through the movie, I was sort of like, wait, why are they doing this? Like, what? Wait, is there a war again? I'm not clear on this. Like, those things sort of bogged me down. But then by the time we got to the end and we accomplished what's really at hand, I enjoyed that. So I was sort of like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this, even though I will say regardless, even if I hadn't liked it, even though I did, I liked it enough, I would say, but I had a lot of questions and I'm not, about decisions. And even if I understood the story, I loved the swing. I loved that this clearly meant a lot to Lana Wachowski. And she was like, this is what I'm doing. And like that, I'll take that anytime. You know what I mean? So, yeah, then I watched it. So, okay, no, then we texted and we were a little vague with one another, but I think you could sense that I wasn't on the same page as you. And so you sent me these video, like a 30-minute video and like an article. And I was like ready. As soon as the movie ended, I was like, well, now I'm going to dedicate 2.5 hours to reading all about this film. Like that's my plan. And I will admit, when I watched the video and when I read the stuff, I was like, yeah, I didn't get that. Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. And so it made me so eager to watch it again. And this isn't me apologizing for the movie either and just trying to force myself to like it. Because I would say there's still a couple things I wish had been executed a little differently. But this movie isn't The Force Awakens. Like, yes. Even though some people would say to some degree it kind of is, but it isn't. Like, this isn't. Remember that war we just solved? Well, now there's another one.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost a riposte to The Force Awakens.
Yes, and this is a coda.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
And it's like, do you care about these people or not? And like, and not to say if you don't like this movie, you don't care about those people, but I do feel like that's what this movie is about. These people, and it's not about the world is falling apart again, and we only can get these people. And if we don't get these people, this whole thing. And I think that threw me, honestly.
Yeah.
The first time, because I was sort of like, well, what are the stakes here? But then when I watched it again, with all expectations aside, taking the movie on its own terms, I still found I had a couple of the same issues, but like I liked it a whole lot more the second time. And so I think that's a real testament to, again, like I think, like you said, if you're not a fan of the sequels of the trilogy, the original trilogy, like I don't know, there's gonna be a lot for you here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll get into spoilers with it, but I will say also, non-spoilery, I'm wrestling with the action in this movie.
I agree with that.
Because I think I want to be cool and say, well, hey, that was 20 years ago, and maybe they have a different sort of feeling and approach to these sorts of things, and they've evolved, and da-da-da-da-da. But like, I do think you go into a Matrix movie expecting a certain display of action, and there's a scene that takes place on a train. There's like a lot of melee taking place on a train. And I was like, I feel like I've gotten more impressive action sequences out of a Marvel film.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's, when we're talking about a Matrix movie, like that's depressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you and I talked through Reloaded and Revolutions, we talked about the stairway fight and the freeway chase, the super burly brawl, and those are sequences that I can just put those on.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in this movie that I would say is even remotely comparable to either of those.
Right. I think the bus
on the
scene,
action level.
Sorry, the bus scene in Shang-Chi is better.
Yeah. Yes.
In a tight space, in terms of choreography, in terms of cinematography. Actually, when I was on the plane to New York and coming back from New York, both times someone was watching that movie in front of me. And I ended up watching that scene twice. And I liked it already, but I appreciated it even more just watching it so many times. And, I'm not going to say that this movie isn't any good because of that, but I will say that was honestly a little bit of a letdown. And I was wondering if it had to do with, well, first of all, they had a different fight choreographer.
Yeah, Yuen Wu-ping did not return.
Right. It was the John Wick, Chad,
Stahelski?
Stahelski, yeah. Who's actually an actor in this movie too, which is kind of funny. But and so
so the fight scenes have that John Wick energy,
kind of close quarters, slapping things away from people, shooting,
and that's just not what we expect from the Matrix.
Yeah, and even in terms of the way that it's captured, with the camera is not. It's not as. It's more close quarters, more shaky cam, which is just shocking because the Wachowskis originally, it was sumptuous. And it was exquisite, and it was like almost like a ballet or something, and it was just something to behold. And so I can't help but admit that was a little disappointing. But, I mean, again, that I still wish there had been, I don't know if there was more time. I don't know if it was a matter of the actors didn't want to spend a year of their lives, again, doing this sort of thing. But, I think I felt validated when I saw that mentioned by many people, because then I thought, like, maybe I'm not just being sort of fussy. But that was something both times I still yearned a little bit more for that. But that's also kind of not what the movie's really about.
Yes.
Right? I think, and that's something I took away from the second viewing. But anyway, I mean, yeah, I think we should probably get into spoilers. We can just kind of go whole hog here.
I think people listening have a sense of where we landed.
Yeah, I think, again, as a fan of this series, because I think mine's the most complicated, but like as a fan of this series, on a second viewing, expectations aside, I appreciated it even more than the first time. And I think after the first viewing, I would have been like, yeah, I don't know if this is one I would like throw on again. And after the second time, I appreciate it a lot more, and I think it is something that I would, watch again.
Yeah.
So,
There we go.
sorry, man, I got COVID brain, but yeah, I could tell I'm just like, rah, rah, rah. But yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Cue the spoiler wall.
Spoiler.
So, I mentioned before how I went in, completely cold, and listening as you're talking, I mean, that's something that really sticks out to me is the marketing did a very good job, at least in the initial stages, of just not giving anything away, right?
Yeah, but and at the same time, I admire how much intrigue they created.
Yes.
By teasing, a character actually in the movie saying the Matrix.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Well, and that's, for me, going into the movie, I had no story expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It was all, so how are Neo and Trinity back? It was pure question mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in like, well, how is Lana Wachowski going to explain that?
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe that made me a bit more of an open receptacle.
Sure.
In that was my only expectation. I want an explanation for that.
Right.
And so I found the explanation satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And related to that, as I've said before, I think the trilogy ended at a good place. So my thought all along had been, well, and that's exactly where the Wachowskis were. So it was always like, well, if they feel like there's a story worth telling past that, I'm intrigued.
Right.
And going back to what you said before, what I actually related to what you were saying, the morning that I went and saw this, my wife watched the premiere of the Sex and the City sequel, which what's it called? And Just Like That.
Yeah.
And at this point, everyone knows, right? The Mr. Big dies in the first episode of that, right? Now, I was not a fan of that show. I did not watch it, but I mean, who wasn't aware of that show, right?
Sure.
And I remember seeing the end of that, the first episode he dies, and I'm like, is that what fans would want? Like, like I'm not saying just spoon feed fans whatever, but I'm just like, that undermines everything that the show was about. About happily ever after. Not to say people don't die, but I'm just like, that feels like a slap in the face to fans.
Sure.
So there's, and then obviously I draw the corollary to Star Wars, which we've expended how much oxygen talking about. But the in my opinion, the most valid critique of these sequels is you reset the status quo back to what it was during the original trilogy and essentially wiped away the happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel that way.
Right.
And so that my thought, when we see in the marketing, there's the Matrix and whatever, so I'm like, okay, so are we just undoing what I felt was a pretty happy ending? And I like that this movie directly addresses that.
Yes.
It explicates it by the character specifically telling Neo, "You changed the world.
Mm-hmm.
What you did made everything that we've done since possible. And yes, the war has started again, but where we are now is fundamentally different, and it's because of what you did."
Right.
And as somebody who, again, appreciated that journey that I'd been on, I appreciated that.
Yes, definitely.
And what you said about this being a coda, I think is so perfect, because Lana Wachowski said, look, I'm done. After this, I'm done.
Right.
And so there's the trilogy, and then, here's what happened afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that.
I 100%. I loved I think I really loved the beginning. I think the middle gets a little, I have questions, and I actually look forward to talking about this with you.
Okay.
And then I love the end. And like I say, I think it went down a lot better for me the second time once I understood what I was being presented. But I want to, speaking to the beginning, what I really loved was how clever. He's back. We don't quite know why. Thomas Anderson, that is, and he's created this game called The Matrix, and everybody knows guns, lots of guns. Like that's so fun, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that. I thought that was clever. But there's something, him, talking to a psychiatrist who wears blue glasses, like, I love it. This is what they do, him seeing, Trinity, who's now Tiffany, in a coffee shop. So good. I mean, you're just so eager for them to wake up and see one another. And then, you see the mysteriousness of the reflections where you're like, wait, that's not him. What? And then it cuts away.
Yeah.
I mean, love it. Love it. You know what? Let me get one more thing I wasn't crazy about out of the way, and then it's basically going to get more positive. Not crazy about Agent Smith.
The new guy.
Yeah, Groff, is that his name?
And I think partially this goes to what you and I have discussed previously. Like, Hugo Weaving,
yes,
owns every aspect of that role.
Yes.
So this guy who does the best he can,
not his fault.
He's climbing a sheer rock face.
Yes, I wrote down, I called him CW Agent Smith. And I think it's not his fault. It really isn't. Like, I from what I read, okay. You know what it's reminded me of? It was like every actor who's tried to play a Terminator after Robert Patrick.
Oh my God, that's perfect. Yes.
Right. And it's like, no, man. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger is the Terminator. He's that model. But anytime you try to get like an advanced Terminator, Robert Patrick ruined it for everyone.
For everybody, yeah.
Because everyone is chasing what he did. They're trying to imitate him. And it just never works. And when we watched Reloaded and Resurrections, you have that Bane character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he does such a good Hugo Weaving impersonation.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, at the very least, this guy should be trying to talk.
That same enunciation.
Yeah. And so it makes you wonder. I mean, this is where real life comes into play, where apparently they did try to get Weaving and it just didn't work out.
Scheduling, yeah.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder. I actually wrote down in my notes, then wait.
Right. It's true.
And it makes me wonder. I mean, there's this whole thing where it's, Keanu Reeves sees himself as Keanu Reeves, but the world sees him as something else. And then I started getting confused. Like, Smith says, well, they made me more handsome. And then it would be nice once they're back into the Matrix and they've all been awoken that he sees him again as Smith, because then you'd be like, oh no, like, dang, like when he pulls a gun and points it at Anderson, you would like, that would rattle my knees, watching the movie, like, here we are, and then when we're in spoilers now. So, I mean, when they basically realize they sort of need one another at one point later, I mean, it would just play so differently if it was Hugo Weaving, I feel. But there's nothing you can do about it. But that was something that I really threw me the first time. And the second time I tried to go with it because I knew the circumstances, but you just can't help but miss what could have been.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. I think by virtue of Smith, 5.0 or whatever he is here, the fact that he calls him Tom was an attempt to sidestep the obvious problem if you would actually call him Mr. Anderson.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then you'd be like, nope, you don't get to say that.
Right. Well, he imitates Hugo Weaving's affectations for like the first two sentences.
The very first scene.
Yeah. And then it kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe they thought it would call too much attention to itself if he did it the whole time.
I can roll with the idea that Smith in this new Matrix has been reformatted and now he's this tech dude bro from SF.
Sure.
But the essence of Smith, as long as, we've talked about this before, as long as Neo exists, Smith exists.
Right.
So Smith can never be wiped out, but given what he was and the danger he presented to the Matrix, he's been turned into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I can roll with it.
Yeah. I just I don't even know if the actor even had like arched eyebrows or
Yeah.
something. So I know Smith is in there, but
Mhm.
I have to
Yeah.
do all the work. I felt
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
but that's my last like hard, just something that's always going to be there every time I watch it. But I had some questions for you about the second act, because even last night when I was watching it and I was listening to Jada Pinkett Smith, her sort of explanation of Zion and this and that,
Mhm.
I rewound it and I watched it again. So I watched it for like a third time. I was really trying to understand, because I think I couldn't help the first time watching it thinking, why did they unplug Neo? Other than them being sort of fanboys,
Why did
Bugs
Bugs
and
and
her
her
ship. And the second time I got it a bit more. I mean, it was more like, wait, that guy's alive?
Yeah.
And so obviously that person would want to be unplugged and whatnot. But then I got a little lost in the middle where they're talking about what's at stake. So basically, once at the end of the third film, when they make the new Matrix, people are given a choice. They can unplug or they can stay plugged, right? And because so
Correct.
many people unplugged, well, now they have a power problem, the
Yes.
machines, right?
Yes.
So then the machines go at war with one another. And that's really interesting. And then you also have this new city called Io, which is where Niobe is, and these people who are now working in harmony with the machines, right?
Yes,
So now
with certain machines.
certain machines, yeah, and they're able to recreate a synthetic sky, and they're able to grow fruit, and it's kind of interesting. But what was throwing me off a little bit was they start talking about this discord that's growing, and they say there's a rising power that they're worried about, which I assume is Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
So I guess I was just a little lost at what that threat in fact is to them.
So the threat is that this new Matrix is more dangerous than the previous Matrix.
In what ways is that?
Because of the scene that where the Basil exposition scene where Neil Patrick Harris lays out his strategy with the new Matrix. So if you remember when Neo comes to see Trinity and then everything slows down and Neil Patrick Harris is right, that's like the equivalent of the architect scene in Reloaded.
Right.
But the key difference is what does he say? He's created a Matrix that no one will ever want to leave, because it allows people to purely exist within their own definition of reality. Right. So it's very now in meta terms, this is a Matrix movie post social media.
Sure.
Right. So what he's talking about is what we're living through right now. Right. And so that sense of and it actually what's kind of genius about it is that this is a Matrix where the concept of the Matrix exists within it. So if you're one of the resistance fighters, you're like, hey, listen, you're in a simulated reality, and they'll be like, oh, like the Matrix? Yeah, whatever, weirdo.
Right.
Right? It's kind of genius if you're the machines.
And so what threat does this pose to the unplugged?
I mean, it's if we're back to the machines taking over,
deluding people versus giving them the choice.
Because essentially the analyst went to war with the architect and the analyst won. Right? And so now if that's the status quo of the machines, then they're just as dangerous as they ever were. They're able to generate more power because of the nature of the new Matrix, plus, I mean, before Neo and Trinity were freed, plus who was powering that Matrix, right? And so the main difference now is that you have machines that are also allied with humans, but the machines have had a coup d'état, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know, something about, this was almost throwing me for a loop on the first viewing. because then I was like, oh, there's a rising power and there's going to be this big battle and it's going to, we needed Neo. That's why they unplugged him. And now like, they need Trinity. And even, Bug says to Neo, once they free him, she says something like, once you find your mojo again, that'll help get me and my people out of the doghouse with Niobe.
Mhm.
And I was like, why? Like, she doesn't really seem engaged with anything. And like, why would she suddenly be like, oh, you're the thing we needed all along? Because she seemed, I just,
Why would Niobe say that?
yeah. And I was getting confused, frankly. Like, I was like, the stakes of this movie are confusing to me. And
yeah, and I think to your point, the stakes are smaller than that.
much smaller, yeah. But in a way that I kind of respect, because if they had just been like, we're at war again, that'd be like a 5th Death Star. You know what I mean? And you don't want to do that. And so then I think that's why in the first one, it ended. I just had so many questions. I honestly, I was just every point I kept thinking of, I kept thinking, why?
Huh.
But then the second viewing, when it really became more about, Neo is a type of person who wouldn't want to be a mind slave.
Right.
So that's why he's unplugged. And then neither would Trinity. You know what I mean?
And not just that, to the point that you just made, he put the key to unplugging himself within the Matrix.
Right. Creating his modal.
The modal.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you think about it, that's a reflection of the fact that he knows the code of the Matrix. Even on an unconscious level, he's able to reprogram the Matrix.
Yeah. So I guess get long, and I appreciate the listeners listening to all this. I was looking forward to you sort of giving me your take on all this, but I feel like, there was a lot of telling versus showing in terms of world stakes.
Sure.
But at the same time, putting that aside, I love the love story.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what this is about. And once these two are reunited and they get this, ragtag gang to help them reunite. And once they are together, they're more powerful than they've ever been together. And they're going to right the wrong of the Neil Patrick Harris character. Like that, I really enjoy, So like, I would just say sort of like the second act world stakes were just a little bit of trip me up just a bit. But when I take a step back and look at this as like a story, a love story for Neo and Trinity, that I love. And so that's why I feel ultimately, I wish I could be passionately in love with this movie, but I would say I admire it a lot and I like it. That was kind of my final takeaway with this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to hear more from you. I've been sort of poking a lot here.
No, I mean, for me, I read an interview with Lana Wachowski. I had already seen the movie by that point, but she talked about having lost her parents.
Yes.
And the grieving process there, and that's when she sort of landed on a way to do a story where Neo and Trinity comes back to life, and saying, they're only dead because we say they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And we can bring them back, and why not? We love these characters.
Right.
That's what stories can do. And that quote really crystallized for me what I loved about this.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was that ability to say, you know what? We're going to bring back Neo and Trinity. We're going to find a way to do it.
Right.
And do it in a way that honors the sacrifice that was made. I didn't feel this in any way cheapened what happened in the third film.
Agreed.
And so that was the mechanism that's what this movie was, really. It was a mechanism that allowed for that. And then all the stuff there in the middle, in the beginning, where you have the Groff character saying like, oh yeah, our parent company, Warner Brothers, says they're going to do a fourth one with or without us. I mean, obviously we know that that's obviously what really happened,
mm-hmm.
right? And it made me think about when you and I talked about the possibility of this film before Lana Wachowski got involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget who, I think Zach Penn.
Oh, right. That's right.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And I remember, and I can't verbalize specifically what we said back then, but I remember expressing to you that feeling that, it's going to feel like somebody trying to do the Matrix.
Yeah.
And what I liked about this is it's really, I mean, it is visually very different.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it feels more The Matrix, to me anyway, than any other sort of attempt would have, likely.
100%.
You know, that's what it comes down to for me, is that this is you know, and going back to with Star Wars, like, that's the critique, right? Like, say what you will about the prequels, they were absolutely an expression of George Lucas's creativity.
Right.
Like, and one of the most valid critiques of the later films, certainly the J.J. Abrams one, is it feels like he's doing karaoke.
Right.
And that, again, like, and this is not, I mean, we've talked about Force Awakens. We're both fine with it. This is not meant to be a critique of that movie or people who like that movie. It's genuinely not.
Right.
But I'm of the mind that if you're going to do a legacy sequel, do something like this that carries the story forward, doesn't disrespect the fans, but also doesn't just retread the same old ground.
Right.
And this story ends. I appreciated that. Like, could they go forward with it? Yeah, I mean, I guess they could.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if this is the final statement on the Matrix on screen, I'm 100% okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That Neo and Trinity reunited and making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, to me, that, you know, when you and I watched Revolutions, that's one thing we really honed in on, is like, we really feel the connection these people have with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that that's a love that transcends time, it transcends death.
Mm-hmm.
And they're able to find each other on the other side. I mean, there's something beautiful. I don't know. Does that sound soppy or mushy? I hope not.
You know, no. I mean, not if you care, and I care. You know, honestly, every now focusing on the positives more from mine. I love, gosh, Carrie-Anne Moss, man.
Yeah.
Like, obviously she's fantastic, but this character, I mean, it really is a testament to the characters that, you know, they brought to life for those past 3 movies, that I care so much to see them again and see them together. And I think probably my favorite scene in the movie was when, well, they were in a coffee shop a couple times, but I actually loved where they're going to unplug her and she has to choose, you know, and it's really dependent. And then there's like SWAT guys, and there's, you know, Neil Patrick Harris's character, and there's Neo, and then Trinity comes in there and they sit down together, and it's like, is she going to want to be freed, or isn't she?
Yeah.
And there was just such a, I don't know, a sense of, you know, urgency and almost like even looming despair. And like, there was just so much going on in there, and I loved it. And then when she, you know, wakes up and, you know, rebuffs her quote unquote, you know, computer husband, you know, and Chad, you know, and says, you know, my name is Trinity, and just seeing them kick ass together, and when their hands clasp, I mean, that gets me going. You know, that's I love
and
it.
by the way, the actor who plays her husband, Chad, that's Chad Stahelski, who we mentioned. He was he did the fight choreography. He's also the director of John Wick, but he's also Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the prior films,
in the originals. Yeah.
And so there's obviously a bit of meta texture there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I didn't even think of it that way.
She's given like a pseudo Neo.
Yeah, and you know, her
told to be happy.
Sorry, Keanu's other self, you know, the balding, whatever, that's Carrie-Anne Moss's husband.
No kidding, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, under a bunch of makeup, but yeah.
That's interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that the sort of the way in which the rules of this new Matrix are broken down, I appreciate it as a way of saying, well, the world has changed since those earlier films.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do the Matrix in a world where the Matrix,
right?
You know, defined so many of these concepts.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I said earlier, I love that the Matrix exists in this world.
Yes.
And so, of course, it will be different. So you're not going to have the Bill Pope cinematography. You're going to do something different.
Right.
I can, and I fully appreciate that as a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, it doesn't look like those movies. But I'm like, yeah, but I mean, that's what she was trying to do.
Right.
And so the stuff, the closest we get to the visual stamp of the trilogy is the modal.
Yes. Awesome opening.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's great because that's Neo, programming his own memories.
Yes. That's that was the Matrix he experienced.
That's exactly right. And I love that the first scene is Bugs watching.
Mm-hmm.
And she's us.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yep.
Wait, it doesn't go like that. She's us. She's all of us who've spent 20 years watching The Matrix.
Yep. One of the things, because when it showed Trinity's face, I was like, that's not Trinity.
Yep.
But one of the things you sent me, I absolutely loved, where they said in the 1999 Matrix, it begins with a cop's flashlight in your face. And it's kind of like you're about to see the light, sort of a thing.
Yeah, right.
So it's because, all their shot choices are pretty intentional. But then in this one, and I did wonder, I was like, oh, well, this is a little different. It starts with this reflection in a puddle, and you're not immediately clear what's happening. And then someone steps in and it gets all rippled and wavy. So you're not quite seeing the right thing. You're seeing a reflection of it. It's a little different. Like the opening of this movie. I was like, genius. Pretty genius. So I love that, all the intentionality and, all that stuff, never let it be said that any Wachowski who's been making one of these movies has not been completely invested in every detail, right?
That's really the thing. I mean, it would have been so easy to do a wash, rinse, repeat version of The Matrix.
Yes.
And they didn't. They studiously avoided that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that makes for a more polarizing film and thus a film less likely to be embraced. But I'm so glad they took a swing because we just don't see big blockbuster movies that try to go in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember the movie ends with Trinity, revealing she has the powers of the One as well.
Yes.
And as soon as you see Trinity flying right away, I was like, oh, you just know certain parts of the internet aren't going to be having this.
Sure.
You just know it,
Sure.
But I was actually kind of more surprised at just how polarizing the film was. I sort of naively thought that it would be generally more well received, but it's kind of like right in the middle there.
Yeah. Just speaking to that moment too, by the way, how cool did that look when they were hanging in the air?
That was great.
And apparently, I don't know which shots it was, but Keanu talked about Lana making them literally jump off of a building attached to cables, in the teens, amount of times. And so, I mean, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, I remember when they were shooting that here in SF. It was on the news, and that particular aspect was also on the news.
Oh, funny. Yeah.
About that. Yeah, the stuff in the beginning, all the meta, Wes Craven's New Nightmare stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Where that one friggin' asshole who works for Thomas Anderson, he's like, oh, I just want you to know the trilogy changed my life, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
I was like, how many times have the Wachowskis had that conversation?
I know.
Right?
Yeah. Jude or Judas, perhaps.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. And then, when that was a fun scene too, where they're like, okay, we're going to start Matrix 4, the game. Here is like, what do they call, like a focus group, sort of a collection of ideas of what the Matrix means to people. And so they're saying everything I'm sure they've heard over and over and over. It's like, it's a trans allegory. It's about capitalism. It's about this. And then it's like the next day they're saying the same thing. It's about bullet time. It's about blah, 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 blah. It's probably they probably literally got that document, the Wachowski sisters, like, that had those words and said, whatever you're working on next, here's what you should really be thinking about.
Right.
We're going to tell you what it was about, Yeah.
That's, I think that, we get the progression in story that lets us know that it's all part of that same continuum. So I appreciated seeing Niobe Um, Morpheus being dead, by the way, that's in the online game,
Mm-hmm.
which before this movie was canon. So I don't know. Maybe somebody listening who played the game, I don't know if this film fully fits with that, but at least insofar as Morpheus being dead, that is part of that.
Right.
But that progression, that movement of like, oh, this is where we were. The Merovingian,
Right. Right.
he's back. He's still a friggin' asshole, that guy.
Right.
All the pieces were there, and yet we get these. I think Bugs, Jessica Henwick, she's great.
She's great. Yeah.
She's really good. So I
almost wish
liked her.
There was more for her, to be honest.
I do too. Yeah. Actually, we haven't even talked about New Morpheus.
Yes, which was very confusing in the lead up to this film because you think, well, why isn't Lawrence Fishburne here?
That's right.
And I mean, obviously they stuck with their canon of having him have died earlier, off screen.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a reason. There's a story reason, right? Where he is the Morpheus that Neo has created in his modal.
He is both Morpheus and Smith, which I
Right.
kind of loved.
Right.
Which explains why Yahya Abdul-Mateen is not doing like a Lawrence Fishburne impression.
Right.
He, in fact, to your point, he's doing more of the Hugo Weaving affect than Groff, right?
Right.
But I kind of like that Neo, on an unconscious level, programmed a matrix within a matrix, creating the programs that they're supposed to free him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just love that on an unconscious level he did that.
Right.
And so you have the program who knows. Again, it's just like Neo in the first film. He's like I know I'm supposed to do something. I just don't know what that purpose. And then he finds his purpose.
Right.
And his programming is about freeing Neo. And then we get the scene where he's in the construct and he's showing the scenes from the first movie, which are actually scenes in the game.
Right.
But what he says, I think, is so profound, where he's like, what makes something real? Is it that we experienced it or that we have a memory of it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like, that's the stuff I loved.
Right.
That's the stuff I loved about the first film. I remember, this is unlocked memory here. I remember I had a party at my house. Must have been 2000. You came over and I had the theatrical poster for The Matrix up in my room.
Mm-hmm.
And you took a look at it. And this was like the first time you came to my house and you're like, it's like a Christ parallel, right? And I was like, really? Because I was dumb. Like, yeah, it's Neo, it's Trinity. And, you point to Morpheus, and he's John the Baptist. And I was like, wow. Papa Brian, you are so learned.
Is that so like early internet? Like, well, gee whiz, like you see all the discussions and yeah.
I was like, let's be friends. And
yeah, I know. We shook hands right there and all the SWAT agents blew away.
I literally uncorked that memory as I'm sitting here talking to you.
Oh, that's so funny. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah,
I do remember being in your room and looking at the poster, though.
Yep. So there you go. It's definitely, and you know what makes it real? My memory of it.
That's right.
but that's anyway. My point is, I love the way it fits. Like, canonically, it's not doing anything that undermines those earlier films. I mean, it is a progression and continuation, and yet it's doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just remix certain elements, and then people are saying, oh, it's just a remake of The Matrix, and I genuinely, I don't know how you can watch this movie and say, oh, it's just a redo of the first one. I mean, it's objectively not.
I don't see that either. No.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm fully aware of the polarizing response that it's gotten, and I want to be very clear to everybody listening. If you disliked it, hey, you know what? Those feelings are valid.
100% for sure.
However, I have to. I mean, the movie ended, and I just sat there. I sat there in my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I just let it percolate. I had 2 glorious weeks. In the film, Niobe talks about, she's when she sits down with Neo, she's like, "Do you hear that?
Yes,
silence,
yeah. Right, right,
But
right.
and that was me. I
Yeah.
was like, it's just silent. Like nobody's talking about this. There is no discourse.
Yep. That
It
reminds
right
me
now it exists in my head, and that's it.
that the only other time I can think of in recent memory of that was when you and I saw Solo together
Yes,
at a press
right.
screening, and we were like, "Well, that was fun," and we're like, "Everyone's going to enjoy this," and then we're like, "Oh, there's conversation." Yeah.
That did not go the way we expected.
No, I think people. It seems that's one of those sort of, hey, Solo's not as bad as people say. Like that's like a thing that started happening eventually. But
Yes, right.
yeah,
And we got there early.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm. This was not a movie I was demanding,
Yes,
but I am glad it exists. I'm glad it turned out the way it did, and I'll say I'm perfectly fine being done.
yeah.
I can't imagine we're gonna get more Matrix movies.
No, and I don't.
Oh,
Well, I mean, would I show up? Of course I would, but I don't think we need them. No.
you know what? But let me add on to what I just said. I could totally see like a HBO Max type thing.
Yeah.
Set in the and I think Lana Wachowski's actually done Warner Brothers a service
Mm,
in that she has updated it
yep.
and created a new status quo that can be mined.
Right.
So I don't see any reason why that can't happen. But it's I'm circumspect about it. But I think she very deliberately left the door open.
Mm-hmm.
If not for herself, I think she there's some interview like on the red carpet where she's literally like, they're like, oh, are you going to do another one? And she's like, I'm not doing another one. She's like yelling, so the producers hear it.
Right.
I think she's done, but I feel like there's room to do something if they want to. And I mean, again, they very deliberately made it like a modern Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
It could be set now or 10 years from now. It's left vague enough.
Yeah, the foundation has been set now if someone would like to have fun in that playground.
Yeah, you're not locked into 1999.
Exactly. And you don't have to figure out all the ways to update it and revise it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention also about Neil Patrick Harris. I went and watched it with my two older kids, and I mentioned we watched the trilogy, and my second one, he's like, Neil Patrick Harris was a great villain. It's just
really
unprompted.
That's great.
and I think he did a good job here. I actually really I like that he was like the opposite of the architect.
Yeah, excuse me. I got to say, on second viewing, I really appreciated that scene more where he sees Neo in the mirror.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
First time I didn't really understand what was happening. And then the second time where you can know what's going on, and he's just like, follow my voice, like trying to, pull him out of this thing.
The thought that I had, I was talking to Hamza about this actually. I was like, I see the value of starting the movie where it does within the modal.
Yeah.
But I'm like, imagine if we start with Neo we start with Thomas Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like, what the hell is going on?
Mm.
You understand?
Mm-hmm,
so because
with the whole Morpheus appearing in the bathroom and all that.
Yeah. Like we are with Neo.
Yeah.
In terms of our knowledge of what's going on.
Right. Yeah. I can see that.
I think that scene with the modal is necessary. I don't know how you get rid of that, but I just think, like, imagine that the first time we see Morpheus is that scene in the bathroom.
And we would, and us and Neo would both be like, but you're not Morpheus.
Yeah.
Explain,
Yeah, so I think you needed that because otherwise we'd be completely ass backwards. But I do because I appreciated so much that sense of not knowing what the hell's going on.
Yeah, totally.
Because I think all the explanations ultimately line up, so you're where you need to be. But you're with Neo.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. In the first film, Morpheus calls him. In this one, he's texting him.
Yeah.
But he's saying the same thing,
Yeah. No, I'm so thankful I watched it a second time before we talked. Because I would say the first time I watched it, I was like mixed. like just squarely mixed on it. And there were things I liked about it and things I just wasn't sure. And, and, and that's the thing. I mean, these movies, I don't think some people may say, like, well, if you got to do all that work, but I think that's what these movies have always been.
Yes.
There's a lot to dig into, and I'm still not crazy about all the choices. Like, I almost feel like I could have used a little bit more of this or a little less of that in the second act. But that aside, when I look at the broad strokes, again, understanding this is a coda, I am invested in this and I want to accept it on its terms. I think it moved now, I would say, more leaning toward positive, definitely after a second viewing and after a little bit of work. So I even wrote down, I thought it was like a passionate, admirable triple for me.
So I mean, I'm a huge, two big thumbs up. I think Brian is like a lean positive. Is that fair?
I'd say lean positive. Yes.
There you go. So that's kind of where we landed here. This might be the most we've disagreed on a film in recent memory, which says something because we didn't really disagree.
Yeah, that's
that's kind of the point.
Yeah. But again, for people who are, didn't like it and who are like, like, come on, like, I'm fully willing to admit it, I would say a passion for this series absolutely comes into play. Right? Like where you just, maybe it is covering a lot, certain things for me, but like, I love these people and I love seeing them in a new adventure. And I love that it's an adventure, like you say, that isn't just going through the same beats. I absolutely, regardless of notes or this or that or questions I have, admire this swing. Capital A, admire it.
And on this show, just in recent memory, we've talked about a lot of legacy sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've gotten all flavor of those.
Yeah.
We've gotten here's that same thing again, but with new younger people. We've gotten, everything you knew is wrong. And I like that this kind of went its own way, while playing within the tropes of what people sort of expect from a legacy sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing fully that right now we're in this period of just everything's getting a decades later revisiting.
Yeah.
And this too will eventually pass.
Mm-hmm.
As all these things eventually do. So, some are better than others.
Sure.
I think Brian and I can both agree that the Sex and the City sequel was no good. I have no idea. I'm neutral on that. However, I do find it funny that, for those of you who don't know, on the show, Mr. Big keels over after an exhausting Peloton workout. And so Peloton stocks dropped the next day.
Right.
Because we truly are living in the Matrix.
I was going to say, if anything was more, we are in the Matrix.
Yeah. Because it is the dumbest possible reality that we're in. Anyway, that's a good place to leave this discussion. What do you think?
Yeah.
Did we cover all your bases?
I think so, yeah. I think this is a great discussion. I enjoyed this. I know we're doing sort of a show right now, but this is just something I wanted to do with you.
and I'll tell you, this discussion was so energizing that Brian started the show with COVID, but afterwards he's going to go out and do gymnastics.
Hey!
Yeah.
Look at that!
He's going to be doing somersaults, jumping from building to building, Matrix style.
Yeah, that's right.
We have healed Brian, hopefully.
It's at the start of the next episode. It's like, Brian won't be joining us today.
He's in a full body cast. Well, hey, folks, like I said, this has been a polarizing movie. So if you disagree with either me or Brian, let us know.
I want to hear everybody's take. I'm loving it, hearing people.
Maybe you're like Zachy, you ignorant slut. Everything you said is wrong, which is, that's fine. I hear that all the time. Usually when I'm talking to my dad, I don't know why he says that. It's hurtful.
Oh man.
But on the other hand, you're like, Brian, you got COVID brain.
Right.
You're not seeing the code like me and Zachy. That might be happening too. Either way is fine.
Yep.
Either way is fine. But we will be back after the start of the new year. We'll be back in 2022.
2022. Ugh,
Isn't that crazy?
crazy.
And by then, Brian will hopefully have seen Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Oh man, yes.
That is the plan. So we'll be back with our belated conversation about that. Plus, we'll also be talking, Brian, about the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about that.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That drops in 2 days. So we'll have plenty of new things to talk about next week. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And as we close out this year, we hope you stayed safe and healthy. We hope you had a rewarding holiday season. And thank you so much for staying with us. We get messages all the time from people who are grateful we're recording the show, during the pandemic and stuff. And the truth of it is, it's messages like that keep us going.
100%. That is the truth. Absolutely. Yep.
Because as I've said, we don't like each other. we really don't.
Yeah.
This is a marriage of inconvenience, this show.
Once we hang up, man, you don't want to hear.
But thank you, everybody. And if you have any questions or comments, you can send us to us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. Please, as always, go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. I know Christmas is already over, but if you want to give us a belated present, you can go there and write a review. That would be a nice thing to do. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. And that's also my website, jusetta.com. Also, look for my review of the Book of Boba Fett to go live at the San Francisco Chronicle. So
cool.
That'll be in a couple days. And Brian, what are you up to?
I have all my Puppy Dog Pals Christmas episodes still airing, I think, which is really fun. I love that I was able to do those, and then I see them pop up each year. When I was on the airplane, too, I got to admit, I feel a little bit like Margot Robbie's Sharon Tate in the theater, where you kind of want to point to the person next to you and be like, I'm in that, or I wrote that, Yeah, Puppy Dog Pals is on Disney Plus, and Disney Junior.
And there we go. Like I said, we'll be back soon in the new year, so thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.